Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Namofsky. Today's episode, an incredible journey from adversity to advocacy. Hillary, I wanted to just step back for a moment because you said in
Mhm,
the beginning that your father was not part of your life, and then he actually took you in and took
mhm.
care of you. How did that, how did you deal with that trust-wise, especially since he was not in your life when you were younger?
Absolutely. I think to dial back, he was loosely involved. We would see each other maybe once a week in the summer. He had his own family. And through, I think, a series of uncomfortable events between him and my mom, that relationship sort of dwindled and dwindled and dwindled until once she got sick, even though I felt lost and orphaned, he still wasn't really checking in. He became aware of my lack of sobriety. And when I moved to Toronto, he was closer to me in proximity. So he said he would come and check in on me more often and didn't really uphold that part of the deal. So when he offered for me to move in, I was absolutely terrified. I'll flag that he is Muslim and I was not raised that way. So I was concerned that we wouldn't get along in terms of culture, in terms of community. I didn't know if I would even like him or what the household would be like. But at the same time, I recognized that he was the one person I wanted so desperately to love me. I think despite him saying it all the time and my mother even, admitting that he loved me, I think that relationship led to the people pleasing that also caused my addiction and my alcoholism and my drug use. So he was the one person I wanted to support me the most. And it ended up leading to this sort of celebration of my blackness and connecting with not just him, but my family that is still in Africa and the siblings that I have on his side. And it's like I grew a 20-person family overnight and absolutely lovely.
So I want to move back to, your hardest moments. In your hardest moments in your
Mhm,
life, you turned to addiction. And I think this is important for you to talk about and tell us about this experience because there are many people in Canada and worldwide that are depressed and are going through
mhm.
something hard and will turn to addiction.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I do think it was a bit hardwired in me, considering my mom had addiction issues as well. But I saw her be an addict and sort of always told myself I would never want to be an alcoholic or I would never drink like that. And then what ended up happening is the minute I found community there, I let myself say that that behavior was okay. I found the bar scene in the East Coast to very much be misery loves company. And so everyone seemed to have some amount of trauma that they could bond over. And then you would drink until you were blackout, or you would do drugs to support your drinking. It definitely was numbing all of my feelings around my trauma. But frequently, I would cry over the fact that I had come home and my mom didn't know my name overnight. And I would cry about traumas that were happening aligned with alcoholism and drug use. Like I experienced sexual assault, I experienced physical assault, I experienced psychological abuse at the hands of this person that I loved. And I would cry about it publicly because I wouldn't be sober and in control of myself. So it became both a vehicle to numb myself, but then also an outlet to allow me to finally feel those feelings. And it wasn't until I ended up, like I said, moving to my father's, but also doing post traumatic stress disorder and substance use therapies and like a almost type of rehab therapy while I was living there, that I really got to understand what it was in me that was lacking in terms of self-esteem and people pleasing, that made it so easy to latch on to drugs and things that make you feel invincible, even though you are 100% not invincible.
Wow. I mean, that's a lot to take in.
Mm,
And I we've got about a minute and
of
10
course.
seconds left before we go to commercial break, but I still really want to start this because you have been 5 years sober right now. And I want to ask you, what resources did you use to stay sober these last 5 years? And congratulations.
Thank you so much. So very quickly, the therapies and supports that I mentioned, so I was able to actually have a one-on-one therapist, which was very helpful. I went to an addiction specific therapist. We were able to actually look at your core beliefs and why you don't believe you deserve a sober life, as well as sexual assault therapies that helped me deal with traumas as well, because I realized I would sometimes slip and drink again because I was around men and uncomfortable in those situations. Disclosing to my friends every time I wanted to use and wanted to drink, building a sober community around myself, and honestly talking about it on social media because people see me out and they hold me accountable knowing I
Yeah.
can't drink at the function because I have this sober personality. So I've tricked myself into having to stay sober.
And this is great. And I love the fact that you talked about accountability as well, whether it's from people you know or strangers. Please don't go away. We'll be right back with more Hillary LeBlanc.